And he says that the fundamental difference between societies that succeed and societies that fail is that societies that fail are societies that fail to hold their elites accountable for their misdeeds. And so since we've all collectively refused to hold our politicians, the political elites, the bureaucratic elites, the securocrats responsible, right? It becomes clear that we're on a trajectory of failure. And we can now pass the definition of where Nigeria is. This is a country a week to inauguration, and the whole country is suffering systemic collapse. So what does it tell you about where we have, this whole, talk about democracy dividend over the last 16 years? Let's, we have to really step back and take a hard, honest look at ourselves. We have these grand aspirations, but we don't want to do the work. We don't want to make the moral commitment. The other thing that is also important here is that when he talked about the moral tenor and moral tone, he's talking at something that fundamentally has shifted. Nigeria
we have a phone call.
Is an amoral country.
So let's hear from. We have a phone call coming.
I want to go back to that.
Yeah, we'll get back to that. Hello. Hello, Sumo. I hope I got your name right.
Sumbo.
Is that Sumbo? Okay, he's not saying anything. We'll get back to it.
What I'm saying is that we've, over the last, and some of us the gentleman talked about a system, about a place where things work more or less. We have living memories of, some of us who have a certain age have a living memory of things that work, so to speak, right? But we've spawned 2 generations of young people who are fundamentally amoral. Amoral in the sense that they've lived their lives on the basis of expediency. So there's no moral reference point. It's not as if they know what is good or bad. They know what is expedient. So it's very difficult to now deprogram them to say, no, you know what, you can't run a country without a moral, ethical framework, right? Because we ourselves have failed them in that direction, right? The only thing that is going to happen, perhaps, and this is advice to the incoming administration, is to set the moral tone, and hopefully it trickles down through the government. But the same kind of impunity you have at the federal government is even worse at the state levels.
And the local level.
And the local level. So this is a nationwide existentialist crisis. It is going to be naive of us to imagine that 2 people at the top are going to collectively change the... we have to desire that change.
But Mr. Ladner, let me tell you something that I have heard people say since since the APC won the elections. People have gathered and have discussed what they expect. And one thing that rang out in my ear was, now we're going to learn to queue all over again.
Isn't that a good thing?
And I thought, wow, so it's sinking in to some people that things are not going to be like they were.
Well, those people people of a certain generation. The ironic thing about it is that for those young people who voted for Buhari, who have a living memory of his administration 33 years ago, thereabouts, right? When Buhari was, head of state, most Nigerians weren't born.
Well, my son was 2 at that time.
Yeah, but most Nigerians...
Even he said this, oh my God,
most Nigerians,
now.
if you, just the demographic fact that 70% of Nigerians are under the age of 30, his own administration was over 30 years ago. So there's no living memory of that point where you had to, queue, and there was an idea to, by just martial fiat, force Nigerians into compliance.
They have heard about it.
The question now is that it's a totally different circumstance. You cannot force Nigerians into compliance.
Mr.
Nigerians have
one
to
more
decide.
time, we have Fola calling in from London. Hello, Fola. Hello. Fola, go ahead and make a contribution. Good morning.
Hello, good morning, Sunrise Daily.
Good morning, Fola. Welcome to Sunrise.
Yeah, I would like to make a quick contribution. The task ahead for the incoming government is so huge. The lady there mentioned the fact that the deficit is so huge, people don't believe about their leaders again. And Twiggy raised a critical issue of we as Nigerians, we fail to take up the responsibility of checking on our leaders. They are there to serve us, not the reverse. In those days when we were growing up, the huge respect is given to people with moral standards. Teachers, you see people carrying their kids to take care of their children, to train them. Today, you have people that are stealing the Commonwealth, and we as Nigerians are celebrating them. We hail them. I'm just on your channel, breaking news now. NDLEA is surrounding the house of Kashamu. Kashamu, that is obvious. He has questions to answer, and he won an election, and people voted, or people rigged the election, and Nigerians cannot challenge that in his constituency. However, the task ahead is huge, and I just pray that Nigerians will rise up to take their destiny in their own hands and challenge whoever is stealing the Commonwealth and not celebrating them.
Thank you very much, Fola.
I wish Nigerians all the best.
Thank you, Fola.
Well, it's more or less said it. The whole idea of the Commonwealth, right, that belongs to all of us. And what is leadership about, really, is somebody, a group of people, men and women, who can manage the Commonwealth on some kind of utilitarian basis for the collective good of everybody else, right? We failed in that. There are all kinds of challenges now, and I want to go back, he's talked about the challenge for the country. We can talk about all the sectorial issues, right, from now till the day after the inauguration, right, and we'll still be scratching the surface, because for each one you look, there are all kinds of existential threats. There's security, right? We don't have a sense of safety, right? Although the Northeast seems to be far away, we're all affected by that. There's obviously the energy crisis itself, right, which is now having a knock-on effect on every aspect. If it goes on again for another month, this country is going to go down. What am I saying? Another month, another week leading up to inauguration. There are the population issues or challenges of youth purge. You have 70% of your population on unemployed, and then what are we going to do? How are we going to create the jobs, right? It's interesting that the Buhari's political campaign had a one-note message: corruption. It seemed like a very simplistic message, right? But if you unbundle that, it's at the heart of all the challenges we're facing, right? The corruption is not just material corruption. It's corruption of the mind, corruption of the morals, corruption of our collective values. It's at the heart of it, and that is a collective responsibility. We cannot dodge that or outsource it to God, as we often do, or outsource it to the government, right? We ourselves are culpable, and we've co-created this monster called Nigeria. And we all have to be held individually accountable for making it better.
Mr. Lana, let's get back to Mr. Adebo and see. Mr. Adebo, he's talked about the one, so to speak, one word message by the incoming administration: fight corruption. What's your bureau doing to help in the fight? I mean, what plans have you put in place to help in that fight against corruption?
I think the most important, some of the failures of anti-corruption initiatives in the past is the lack of capacity and the vision to really articulate actionable programs that will key into the political programs of political leaders. What I mean by that is that you might have a political leader, for example, who might come to power through election manipulation.
Mr. Adebo, let me just interrupt you for a minute or there, but we need to take a phone call, then we'll come back to you.
Okay.
Ioana from Ikeja, hello.
Hello?
Yes, go ahead.
Good morning.
Good morning, Ioana.
Yes. I just want to say something very clearly, and it is that
Ioana, sorry, can you just turn down the volume of your TV
Buhari the president-elect, comes in prepared. He has already said he is going to hit the ground running. We know that one of the problems, in fact, the major problem, is the high cost of governance. And it is important for him to send the right signals. If he comes in, for example, and says, of the 11 aircraft in the presidential fleet, I only need 1 or 2. If he says, I'm going to slash my salary and allowances by so much.